Hello there, and welcome back to Remaining Calm through October. We are sharing 31 days of calming tips, and obviously, you can use them any month. But I know that traditionally, October can be a rough month for anybody that has heard the words, you have breast cancer, or perhaps a loved one has heard those words, or perhaps you're just needing more calm in your life. Perhaps you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed right now. Welcome to all of you. If we haven't yet met, I'm your host, Karin Del Maestro, your health and calmness coach. I also happen to be a breast cancer, breast implant illness, and BRCA2 thriver. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most important topics, I believe, when it comes to our health and wellness, but it's also likely one of the simplest. But it may also be something that you're really not being mindful of right now. And if, as I say that, I want to make sure that you're not judging yourself. Okay, it just is whatever it is. It just is. It doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't make you right or wrong or good or bad. It just is. Let's stop putting so much pressure on ourselves. Okay, right? It just is. So today, as we're talking about hydration, I want you to understand why it's so important, how it can impact so many things in your life that you may not be even realizing. And I always say, if that's the one thing that you're mindful of, it's making sure that you get your water. That's it. And it reminds me of a time in my life where I was sitting in the hospital room on the recliner next to my husband, who had been in a horrific motorcycle accident. And we were in the hospital for 2 weeks. This accident had happened in an area that we didn't live. We were living in the Caribbean at the time, and he was up in Orlando doing some training. It was 4 weeks after my mom had passed away. It was 2 weeks after my brother had almost died after her funeral. And all of that happened in the UK. I know, try and keep up with it's like an episode of Where's Waldo is trying to figure out where Karen is in the world when all of these things were happening. But as you can well imagine, I know that you've been through traumas and difficult times in your life too, right? They might be different than mine, but I think that very few of us escape trauma. And if you've heard the words, you have breast cancer, you have been traumatized by those words. That's why we get triggered at pink ribbons, or seeing pink everywhere, or hearing that your favorite character on TV has been diagnosed with breast cancer. These are triggers that trigger trauma responses in our body. Something that we talk about a lot in workshops that I do, but every month in Thrivership School, my group coaching program, we're talking about these things because this is the reality. And this is what we get to kind of let go of, right? So life feels a bit easier as we're going through trauma. So back to me in the recliner, my husband completely out of it on major pain medication. They're trying to save his right arm. And I can remember saying to myself, because as you can imagine, it was such an emotionally difficult time. My husband has always been my rock. He's always been my safe place, the person that keeps me grounded in life when things are spinning. And here I am, having just lost my mom, almost lost my brother, and now him. And what I've learned with all of the traumas and crises and big things in life that I've been through is that when things feel so big and challenging, our focus gets really small. Okay, so think about when things feel big and challenging. I want your focus to get really small and for you to just say to yourself, what can I do right now to nourish and nurture myself? And that shift is the shift that I believe has saved my life. It's the shift that has allowed me to be here today, even talking to you and to serve the breast cancer communities. Because it's that shift. Because if you're anything like me, and like I spent most of my life focusing on everybody else. What do they need? Right? I wasn't focusing on myself. I was giving. And I have a very strong suspicion that that's you too. Right? You're a carer. You may even be a nurse or a teacher and have got, or a coach and have gone into a caring profession. But I know that you're the one that helps everybody out. And so it's difficult when we go through breast cancer and we're the center of attention suddenly, and it can feel awkward and hard. And I know that it's often we put pressure on ourselves, as well as feeling external pressure when treatment ends to kind of get back to everything. Right? But I am going to urge you, when things feel big, when you're feeling external pressure and you don't know what to do and you don't have the energy or the motivation to do everything the way that you used to yet, I can help with that. But focusing on just one thing that is going to nurture and nourish you, mind, body, spirit. That one thing for me, when I was in that hospital room with my husband, the thing I said to myself was, Karin, just make sure you are staying hydrated. Make sure you're getting your water. And that's all, literally, that was all I had the energy to focus on, that one thing. But it was that one thing in me saying to myself, mind, body, spirit, that I deserve to be taken care of in this place too. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't be there for everybody else. You know that, right? You know that when you're so dry, we get to feel bitter and angry and resentful about, and you may have even like said to yourself, oh, can I just have a minute for me, please? I used to do that all the time. That used to be me, but it's not me anymore. And it's this shift just saying, what can I do to take care of myself here? And staying hydrated is the number one. And I think part of the reason is, for me, is that it's simple. Not easy. They're different, right? It's not easy to remember, but you can do, and I've got some suggestions for how to do this as well as we go into this episode. But simple. We need simple things, right? Versus complicated. We've talked about that already in the series. So what you may not realize is that 75%, 75% of Americans don't drink enough water. They're walking around dehydrated, in a state of dehydration. And you might likely be saying to yourself, oh, I'll drink some later, I'll catch up. But what you may not realize is how much our mental health is tied to how much water we drink. If you're not drinking enough water, your mental health will suffer. So we're going to be talking more about that today. So let's start by talking about hydration and your mood. When we are, well, let me back up, okay? Our brain needs water to function. And when there isn't enough water, then our cognitive abilities end up being compromised, right? So studies have found that dehydration is linked to impaired cognitive function, memory. It can make things harder to concentrate, remember things, And also being dehydrated encourages more brain fog. Is this sounding familiar to some of the things that you might be dealing with right now? Trouble concentrating, trouble with your memory, trouble with brain fog. Now, these are all, by the way, very common side effects of breast cancer and breast cancer treatments. Okay, also hormone medications. But here's the thing. Even if those are known side effects, if we know that drinking enough water can help with those things, what's the harm in drinking more water, right? Because my belief is that there's a baseline for all of these things, but when we can hydrate enough, it's really interesting to see how it can impact and improve these things that can be devastating to our daily activities, right? So think about it. If drinking enough water and consistently staying hydrated, again, it's not something that you can kind of catch on later. We're talking about drinking enough water as you're going through your day. Then it can help your functioning. It can help your judgment. It can help you make better decisions. Something I hear all the time too is about feeling procrastinating more often, having a hard time making decisions. Now, I want you to know that if this is you, it's not your fault. There's nothing wrong with you. But play with this. See if drinking more water helps. It's pretty simple. It's like the easiest thing that you could do. And perhaps this might help lift you out of feeling depressed, right? Because studies have also found that people who drink less water have an increased risk of developing depression and anxiety. It's the combination of dehydration that zaps the brain's energy, that it also cuts down on our serotonin, which is a feel-good hormone. It cuts down on the production of that, which then can increase depression symptoms. And the same is true for anxiety. When dehydrated, our body is stressed, right? Which causes our adrenal glands to kick into overdrive. Our adrenal glands are the glands that produce cortisol, which you may know is your stress hormone, right? And this is this hormone that our body uses to fight perceived danger. So this is what happens. There's a chemical reaction that happens in our body when we are feeling anxious. An increasing cortisol results in other physical responses. It's like a snowball, a domino effect, right? If you think of one thing happening and the domino topples and it hits the other one. So that increasing cortisol can lead to a higher heart rate, muscle tension. So if you've got pain in your muscles and joints, and that general feeling of uneasiness. I know I've had that feeling in the past. And I know for me, I recognize that when I start to have these symptoms, right, we're all human, living a human experience, then I know that it's a sign that I'm dehydrated. And be careful because certain medications can also lead to dehydration. So make sure that you're getting your blood work checked and your urine checked and your kidney function checked, right? All of those things will help with that. Now, you may think, okay, Karin, so if I just drink enough water, does it magically cure anxiety and depression? I wish I could say yes, guys. I wish I could wave that magic wand for you. It doesn't, but, and it's a pretty big but, it nourishes the brain and helps combat the symptoms that you may experience. So here's the thing. Why not try it? Try it for a couple of weeks and see how you feel. See how you feel. So I wanted to share, right? I mean, it's like all of these things. Try this, see how it works for you. I know for me, I get more achy. I get pain in my joints. I see it in my skin when I'm dehydrated. A great way to test if you're dehydrated, by the way, is to take your hand and pull up the skin on the top of your hand and see how quickly it goes back. The quicker it goes back, the more hydrated you are. If that skin takes a while to go back, you don't have to pull it hard or anything or far, but you're just going to pick up the skin and see how quickly it goes back. Mine is bouncing back today, so that's good. Right? Been working on my hydration. So just see where you're at. Again, the color of your urine is a great way to see. We don't want totally clear urine, but a light yellow is always good. So let's talk about some ways that you can kind of stay hydrated throughout the day, because I think this is helpful. Okay. First step, listen to your body. Listen to her. She's yelling and screaming at you all day long. But it's almost like sometimes she's yelling and screaming in Chinese and we only speak Russian. Right? Our body tells us, she talks to us. We just don't always know how to listen yet. Again, yet. And that's one of the biggest things I think that people learn in Thrivership School, my group coaching program, is how to listen to your body, how to listen to your inner guide. She's in there. And she's dying to come out. She's your authentic, real self. And she unpacks, by the way, all the things in life that you've been told that you should be, who you should be, and what you should do. And that's not her. And if you've ever felt like you don't fit in, like you're square peg trying to fit into a round hole, it's because that's your inner guide. She's saying, oh, can we pivot a bit here? Can things be a bit different? Can we shift? Doesn't mean that your entire life needs to be turned upside down. Just means you need to start doing things differently. So listening to your body. And when you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. It's too late. So if your body is telling you to drink something, choose water. Choose water. Another great tip is to drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. So as soon as you wake up, it's best to drink a glass of room temperature water straight away. This helps to cleanse your liver and kidneys of all the toxins that have accumulated overnight. And by the way, our brain detoxifies every night when we're in our deep REM sleep. Did you know that? It's pretty cool. I love the body. I love the human body. I think it's absolutely amazing. I am so incredibly grateful to mine. Right? That they keep going through all of this stuff. And sometimes we speak to them and we're not so kind. We've got an episode on that in this series. So drinking some water as soon as you get up in the morning, you can put a little bit of lemon juice in there. That's even better. But it gets your metabolism going and cleans out your liver and kidneys so that your body's ready to go for the day. Make sure that you've got a travel water bottle. Another big thing, right? So if you're often on the go and out of the house, it can be difficult to keep hydrating, especially if you're not sure if there's going to be a bathroom around. You know, I know that's something that many of us are concerned about. And I'm not saying, by the way, and I will go into this in a little bit, to go from 0 to 100 on your water consumption. I'm going to give you some tips on how to start increasing it. So that you don't feel like you've got to be in the bathroom all the time. So making sure that you invest in a travel water bottle makes it so much easier. I recommend, I've got mine here, I recommend glass or stainless steel. Stay away from the plastic, please, please, please. So many harmful chemicals that can be in that plastic. There's also plastic that isn't as harmful. That's not in today's episode, so I won't go into that. But you're much safer with glass or stainless steel. And the same thing with a straw, right? I have a stainless steel straw in my water bottle right now. So you want to be careful with that. Those chemicals, especially if you are hydrating a lot throughout the day, what you're drinking out of matters. Another way to do it is to set an alarm on your phone. Right? We often don't think about this, or maybe we say, oh, it's silly. I shouldn't have to do that. I should just be able to remember. Should is a judgment word. So we're judging ourselves. And here's the thing. Right now, your brain may not be functioning the way it used to. Again, so what? So what? Let's give your brain the help it needs. Let's support it. You'd do that for a friend, right? You'd suggest these things for a friend. So why is it hard for us to do for ourselves? It's because you simply haven't learned to prioritize what you need yet. That's why. That is the honest truth of why. So setting alarms, right? Making sure you can set as many or as few as you want, but making sure that you've got that reminder. We get busy, we get caught up. So setting alarms throughout your day to just remind you to have some water. And the last one that I think is helpful is to tie drinking water to another habit, right? So associating drinking water with a habit that you already have makes it easier to take in more water, right? It can be anything. It can be drinking water before you eat a meal, which, by the way, helps to fill you up. And this is plain water, not carbonated water that we're talking about today, just plain water. I prefer that it not be from a plastic bottle, right? Again, then we're talking about those things. But water is better than no water. So it could be drinking before a meal. It could be after you brush your teeth that you have a glass of water, or maybe every time you get up to use the bathroom, right? So tying it to another habit just so that it becomes easier to incorporate. So let me have a sip of my water while I'm talking about it. So I kind of just want to wrap up here with sharing some other health benefits of staying hydrated. All right, because if we look at one thing that's going to move the needle in our health and get the most out of it, I would say this is it. Because I know that after 20 years of working with women day in, day out, there's one consistent thing that I see, and I recognize it for myself too. I'm not immune to this. I have to remind myself that when we are stressed out or anxious, the first thing to go is us drinking water, right? So this is why this one thing can really shift and snowball into so many other things. So as we've already talked about, it helps our brain function, decreasing depression and anxiety symptoms. I mean, it's huge in and of itself. Think about how that would affect your life. How would that impact your life if that improved for you? Your health, your relationships, your productivity, everything, right? It can help with our energy levels and also improve our sleep. Being properly hydrated can help with mobility, fewer muscle and joint pains. And again, if you're here saying, but Karin, these are the side effects of my medications, and perhaps your doctor's even telling you it's normal, what you're feeling is normal. Well, yeah, but why not play a little game and just see if you drink more water, does it decrease these symptoms? Right? Play a little game, get curious. Because yes, these things might be considered normal. Yes, these can be side effects from medications, but it does not mean that there's nothing you can do. There's always something you can do. And start with the basics, start with water, right? Water can also help with weight loss. We have to be drinking enough water if we're looking to lose weight. We have to be. It helps transport things out of our bodies, helps with constipation, right? And all of these things just by drinking more water. Your skin will improve, your hair will improve. All of these things just by drinking water. So I know that you might be there saying, okay, Karen, well, what's enough? How much should I be drinking? Well, there is a statistic. So I will share that with you, followed by my recommendation, if I may. Okay. Because again, I see my job as your coach, whether you're experiencing this for free, whether you're experiencing my coaching in coaching programs, in group coaching, no matter where it is, I see it as my job to share the tips and tricks, right? The real way to actually do the things that you know that you want to do. Things like drinking water, eating healthy food, managing your stress better, actually taking care of yourself. Like I'm the coach that gives you the step-by-step way to do it. Plus, without beating yourself up for not being there yet. I know it's a big one. We call that negative voice, negative Nancy. She comes in hot. I know. So what's enough? Well, the statistic is that you take your weight in pounds. Okay, so let's say, for instance, that you weigh 180 pounds. I don't know. I'm picking a number. Okay. The statistic then is that you drink half of your weight in ounces. So if you weigh 180 pounds, then the goal would be 90 ounces. Okay, that's the statistic. Now, everybody is different. Okay, so understand that. And if you're really not drinking enough water right now, then that number feels really scary, right? It can feel like, oh my gosh, how am I going to drink that much? I'm going to be in the bathroom all day long. I know, I hear you. So here's my recommendation as your coach. And it's my recommendation for how we do everything is to take a small step, right? We know the end goal. We know where you want to go. We know where you're starting out today. Take one step, move towards it versus looking at the goal and saying, I'm never going to get there. You're never going to get there if you don't take a small step. That I can guarantee you. Small steps is how we do it. Small steps turn into massive results. Okay. So what I say is be honest with yourself, right? You can even get a tracker and just tally how many glasses of water are you having a day? And then say, okay, well, for the next couple of days, I'm going to add one more glass. And you can do that for a couple of days. You can do that for a week. Okay. This also, by the way, helps your bladder expand more slowly so that you're not getting quite as many urges to go to the bathroom. Right? So instead of gulping and trying to push all of this in, which is going to fill up your bladder and you're going to need to go to the bathroom. Drinking smaller amounts throughout your day. So wherever you are right now, just add in another glass. And then put a thing in your calendar to say, okay, this week, let's add another glass. And before you know it, you will actually be where you need to be. And if you're not, doesn't mean anything about you, doesn't mean you're a failure, just means you're not there yet. And that's okay. But you're moving towards it and you're further there than you've ever been before. So keep that in mind. Okay. So your calming action today is to start tracking your water intake for the next week. Track it and be honest, right? And then from there, to start making a conscious effort to stay hydrated. This alone is the game changer. This alone is the thing that when we're hydrated, we start making better food choices. When we're hydrated, we feel less depressed. When we're hydrated, we feel less achy. All of the things. And so I don't know about you, but to me, it just makes sense that this is the thing that we start with. This is the thing that is going to help keep us calmer. Okay, so let's end up today by showing ourselves some love with our left hand over our heart, our right hand on top. I'm going to end up by telling ourselves and our 10-year-old self, you are loved. You are safe. I've got you. I love you. Have an amazing day. Go get a drink of water. And I'll see you in our next episode. Bye for now.